Dad, shut up. That's brilliant.
I have commitment issues. And, my girlfriend works in the White House, and why am I doing like a like a Heath Ledger thing? My girlfriend lives in the White House. My father was a podcaster and a fiend.
David, you install cable? You went to MIT?
What if his son was the Joker? You need to stop doing this to Gotham.
I'm so disappointed in you.
What would your mother think? My father was Jewish.
We can't say that.
Can't this thing go any faster?
Well, you think they don't know what you know? They know, believe me, they know. She works for the president, they know everything.
They don't know this.
Oh, you're gonna educate them, huh? Yeah, so tell me something, huh? You're so smart, how come you spend 8 years in MIT to become a cable repairman?
Dad,
No, all I'm saying is they got people who handle these things, David. They want HBO, they'll call you. Look at these people, look. Huh? Vultures. They take and then they go.
They're going faster than we are. Look at this, we're in the fast lane.
I can't go faster, they're cutting me off here.
No one's cutting you off. Yeah, we're gonna get a
They're
ticket.
getting in front of me, I can't go any faster.
All right, I don't want to argue. Shh, let's just get there as quickly as
What's
possible.
the rush, huh? You think we'll get to Washington and won't be there?
Welcome to the Private Movie Podcast, the podcast that's going to give the aliens a cold. I'm Michael.
I'm Kalen.
One more time?
I'm Kalen.
Well, get up. Wake up. Kalen.
I'm Kalen!
Today, we're continuing Alien April. Not when we cover the Alien TM films, but when we cover films about aliens.
It's very confusing, I know.
I know. Sorry, guys. Independence Day is the film up for discussion today. A 1996 film directed by Roland Emmerich. And I think, Kalen, for both of us, I think we're in that ripe age where we saw this film at 8, 9, 10, 11.
Yeah.
Something like that. It was probably one of the first Alien movies we got to see.
I actually think I saw this movie when I was like 5.
Sure. Or the point is, it's a ever-present movie. It's a movie that they would replay on July 4th. I'm sure they still do.
Yeah.
On whatever cable channels.
Wait, did we? This movie really... Hold on. Stop everything for a second. This movie released in 96?
Yeah.
Mars Attacks 93.
Mars Attacks 96. December 96.
What did I read then? Okay. Zoop. Back to it.
So this released July 4th weekend, 1996. Roland Emmerich, the director, is a guy that's made a disaster movie or two.
This movie made me roll into my eyes.
Move this man!
I wish I could think of another one, but I can't. It made me want to roll into my grave.
That's good.
Roland Emmerich, director of such classics like 1998's Godzilla,
Oh, God.
The Day After Tomorrow from 2004,
Just bangers.
Moonfall, the movie where the moon falls, 2012, the movie based on the real events of 2012.
Okay, so obviously Roland Emmerich has a thing. Disaster movies, monster movies, but he's not very good at any of this.
I think Independence Day is certainly his most beloved film.
I think probably the best disaster movie he made was probably The Day After Tomorrow.
Is that what you think? I haven't seen it.
The movie's pretty shit, but it's a good time. No alcohol required.
Not since I was a child, for sure. I think Independence Day works well enough. It's certainly loaded into my nostalgia centers. Yeah. And I think our cast has a lot to do with it. There's a few core castings that I think really lift this movie and help this movie from being even more boringer than it is.
Yeah.
And that's prime analysis for me, using the word boringer. There's a lot of disaster movies around this time. In these 90s, 2000s, Mars Attacks comes out right after that. And then there's kind of this, I mean, Roland Emmerich's the main guy, but there's a lot of other ones. At the same time as Armageddon, there is also Deep Impact.
Deep Impact, yes, with Elijah Wood.
And that's happening soon. It's just kind of a running theme, and it is a throwback, again, to these old disaster movies like Towering Inferno, like we talked about in the Mars Attacks films, where there's a big cast, there's a sprawling sort of plot, and there's a big event that you need to come see, and the aliens are coming on July 4th, and you got to be there in the theaters, Kalen.
Another one you could probably say maybe Twisters.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's move on to the performance test.
This is where we talk about our favorite actor scenes, characters, and moments.
It was the performance of a lifetime!
We have Sir William Smith. Now, he was fresh off the set of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And he was just fine in this movie.
I think he's one of the key castings that keep this from being a total snooze fest. Like Jeff Goldblum, I think, and Will Smith are two actors that are elevating the material that they are given.
Yes.
By just being more charismatic and fun than
he brings the energy.
Than the script has any right to be, because a lot of these other people are kind of nothing as far as grabbing your attention and being like, wow, this is a fun scene or a gripping scene or whatever.
So think about what you just said and then listen to this. That role, the Will Smith's role, was originally offered to Ethan Hawke.
See, that would have been a boringer movie.
Yeah.
It would have been worse.
Yeah.
The Will Smith bringing his energy to it brings a lot of character to this film that I think this would not have been the fan favorite it was. I think it was the melding of him being this fresh star and this kind of being a breakout for him as far as having this massive hit that he's in.
Because when you think about Independence Day, I think the first actor I think about is Will Smith.
Yeah, it's either Smith or Goldblum, and Goldblum is a little more established. He was in Jurassic Park a few years before that. He was in The Fly way before that. Like, he's been working. But I think he's the other actor that they are kind of our two leads. At least they are the ones that ends up on the spaceship at the end of the film. In our sort of... This film also has a lot of parallels with Star Wars, our favorite, I think, in sort of the way the plots are layered.
They also do the X-Wing TIE fighter fight.
There's basically spaceship battles. They do the thing where our big finale kind of has 3 layers or like multiple layers of action going on. There's an attack on the base, and they're also fighting in the sky.
You gotta destroy the big space thing.
Destroy the mega big thing, and then Will Smith and Jeff Goldblum are off in space. So yeah, I think those guys carry the film, and I've also segmented this film into the subplot categories because again, we have a sprawling subplot and our little mixed up. They kind of interact a little bit. We have Bill Pullman and all the White House stuff.
Yeah,
that also involves Jeff Goldblum a little bit. So history.
Think about that president versus Mars Attacks president.
Yeah.
But Jack Nicholson. William Pullman, that's my president.
Bill Pullman's definitely got that.
The presidential look and the voice.
This has that, Mars Attacks is a lot more cynical and just being kind of a spoof. This has that 90s sort of positive worldview where we believe that the president could be a good man,
competent person
that wants to do what's best for the people.
He addresses the nation,
he's an ex-fighter pilot, we find out, because of course he's going to fly the plane at the end of the film. And he's just like a good old guy.
Wasn't you get the president in all these disaster movies, but I just remember Deep Impact. I think it was Morgan
Freeman,
and who was in Armageddon? Do you remember?
I don't think he's as big of a role, so I don't think we see the president.
It's just funny because it is that whole thing where it's like a competent president that cares about his people is willing to like fight. You know what I mean? It's just interesting that's American propaganda for you. Number one.
You know, another great president in a disaster film is the president in Wall-E.
President Wall-E.
The president. Oh yeah, he's in the videos.
Yeah. He's a little shady though.
Yeah. So there's all the White House stuff. Jeff Goldblum's girlfriend also works in the White House. There's sort of a triangle thing. Not a love triangle, but just she's about her career. And Jeff Goldblum wasn't, he wasn't as driven by his career. And he's doing his own thing. And they can't come together, but they do still love each other deep down. And now that the world's ending, maybe sparks will fly by the end. But we don't really care, actually. Not that important. Doesn't matter.
And then who's Will Smith's wife?
Vivica Fox?
Yeah, she's like a sex worker or something.
Stripper.
Okay. Yeah, it's just kind of funny that was thrown in there. Like,
it's
the only black woman character you have is a stripper.
It's only a setup so the first lady, who, when they discover her covered under one piece of rubble, when they're sitting by a fire later in the day, they can ask, hey, what kind of work do you have? And she says dancing. And the first lady says, oh, I love ballet. And she says, no, not like that. Some other kind of dancing.
They should have made it like, like in Jurassic Park 2 where the girl, like they set up her being a gymnast, like where she has to do some flips and then she kicks. They should have set that up for the wife character to where like there's a pole somewhere and the aliens are coming and she's like doing kicks on the pole.
No, I agree. That would have made it better.
Sick. Yeah.
That would have made it better.
Then it's like, okay, that serves a purpose for this skill that this woman has.
Another parallel that we didn't talk about in Mars Attacks is the two boys. We see them playing shooting guns, the little laser guns at the when they get taken by their mother, and then later in the film they end up at the White House on a tour and the aliens invade and they pick it up and they save the Secret Service. They say, we know how to shoot a laser gun. We've done this at the arcade.
Kind of stereotypical, but I mean, sure. Gives those characters something to do.
I believe Ray J knows his way around an arcade.
But the cute little kid in Independence Day
doesn't do anything.
But he does have the gun in the beginning where he goes bang bang at the spaceship. That kid was also in the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. He played Little Nicky. Cute kid.
We have our Jeff Goldblum and Judd Hirsch plot, which is Jeff Goldblum has a dad, and that dad's very Jewish, and he will just talk a lot. Roland Emmerich goes to the Michael Bay School of Side Characters, where it's funny if somebody's really fucking annoying, because there's like 4 of those people in this film. Randy Quaid's whole arc is him being really fucking annoying and then sacrificing himself at the end. Judd Hirsch is maybe the worst version, but also the best version, because Judd Hirsch is such a good actor. Yeah. If he was not this man that we love, we wouldn't, if it was a different person doing the performance, I just think it wouldn't land. But because it's Judd Hirsch, we accept it.
Can we talk about the worst character in this movie?
Who is that?
Randy Quaid's character.
Yes. Worst person on earth.
He plays Russell Casey, and it says this in Wiki. He's an eccentric alcoholic former fighter pilot and Vietnam veteran. He insists that he was abducted by aliens during work on an aerial application 10 years prior to the film's events, shortly after completing his military service. He's just like the worst father possible. All of his kids are like Native American, for what I really explained.
Okay. I watched the special edition and there's cut plot points.
Okay.
So in the special edition, we have this little moment that gets cut because Randy Quaid's the worst part of this movie, I'm sure. The older brother confronts him and he's like, you're not even just my real dad. You just married my mom before she died. Oh. And the little brother's sick. And out of nowhere, he spikes his medicine. He's like, I'm sick of being sick, and I don't want to take this medicine no more.
Well, that's not going to help you.
When they get to Area 51, Randy Quaid tackles an army man because he's like, my son needs a hospital. So I think this is supposed to be his one redeeming characteristic, is that he went to get his sick son some medicine, and he was willing to tackle an army man to do it. Okay. But that all got cut.
So he's just an alcoholic.
Yeah. with
like,
unexplained
just an
native children.
The one actress, though, she was in Mrs. Doubtfire. I don't know if you remember her. She was the
daughter?
Robin Williams' daughter in Mrs. Doubtfire. And the older son looks familiar, too. But, yeah, Randy Quaid, I don't really like him as an actor to begin with. He's just kind of gross looking to me. I don't know.
He's also fallen. He's literally his character from Independence Day now. Like, he's fallen down the conspiracy rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Absolute loon.
That's
in
like
real life
majority of these like older actors now. Like you got Mel Gibson. I mean, he's been nuts.
Yeah.
But then who did I see recently talking about aliens?
Mel Gibson, who goes on to work with Roland Emmerich in The Patriot.
Yes. Mel Gibson is just like foaming at the mouth, though. It's kind of insane.
Working with Mel. This is Jeff Goldblum recollecting working with Mel Gibson. I don't know. Working with Mel was quite complicated.
He really didn't like my father, Judd.
Yeah. He had complicated feelings about Judd.
Mel Gibson's son, my father, was anti-Semitic.
All right, so Randy Quaid's subplot mostly is he drunkenly flies a crop duster and then drunkenly flies a jet into the aliens later in the film. Very annoying. Once again.
Yes. I think that's how you could sum up this entire movie. Very annoying. That's about it.
Yeah, our two lady characters, like we have Mary McDonnell, who's like a real actress, and so is Vivica Fox. And they get sidelined into like the first lady you think is going to rejoin the president, but no, she's like crashed, and it's just so funny when they find her because she's sitting with a door laying on her lap, and that's like supposed to be how she landed and fell out of her helicopter. And then they just kind of drive a truck around until they get to Area 51 eventually.
Yeah.
And they just kind of have nothing going on. There's a dog, Boomer. Vivica Fox has a yellow lab with absolutely no survival instinct because he's in an exploding tunnel, sitting there like a good little boy until she yells, "Boomer!"
Oh, that whole scene is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Let's just say I do like the whole thing where they're like the people on top of the building are like have the picket signs, they're like welcoming the aliens or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they just get blowed up. But that whole scene is just a classic. Like it might have been the start of the thing in disaster movies where like our main characters are just inches away from death and they make it every single time. You know, I'm thinking like 2012 was like filled with that. The movie 2012 was filled with that kind of stuff. Where they're like driving and behind them the fucking ground is just dropping. You know?
Yeah. They definitely have a little bit of main character plot armor.
Yeah.
As they survive all these things.
Something that should be you should not survive that.
And I want to shout out a couple more of our most annoying characters, and let's shout out Harry Connick Jr. as Will Smith's sidekick in the Air Force. We get a great well-aged gay joke where Harry Connick Jr. looks like he's proposing to Will Smith in the locker room, and a guy comes by and he says, "Ooh, this is gay. I'm going away." Whoa, it's the 90s. And then Harry Connick Jr. is just literally the most fucking annoying human you could possibly like spend time with. Like he even in the war room post like 12 cities around the world getting nuked off the face of the earth, he's like, "Oh, we will wobble, I'm ready to go fly a plane." like they could have put him in one of those little hats that has the arrow, you know, or like one of those little spinny propeller beanies, and he would like look just fine because that's the type of character he is. He's like a walking slide whistle of a character. I mean, I applauded when he got blowed up.
Going back to like the gay joke thing, it's just funny because like you have stuff like that in this movie, but then you also cast like Harvey Fierstein, who's the gayest man of all time, and he's just sitting there, "Oh my god, I love penis so much."
my first note in the performance is Harvey Fierstein unsure if gay or Jewish or both?
Both,
I think.
Both, I think.
Officials reporting more ships have just arrived over the capitals of India, England, and Germany, bringing estimates up to anywhere from 10 to 15 of these city-sized spacecraft.
I know, Ma. Just try and stay calm.
As to why these ships...
Tell her to pack up and leave town.
Why? What happened?
Just do it!
Ma, listen. Get your stuff together and head for Anastas. Don't argue with me. Just go. David, why'd I just send my mother to Atlanta? David, talk to me.
Hear me tell you that the signal hidden in the satellite feed is slowly recycling down to extinction?
Not really.
Countdown.
A countdown. Wait, a countdown to what, David?
It's like in chess. First, you strategically position your pieces. Then when the timing's right, you strike. See? They're positioning themselves all over the world, using this one signal to synchronize their efforts. In approximately 6 hours, the signal's going to disappear and the countdown's going to be over.
And then what?
Checkmate.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God, I gotta call my brother. I better call my housekeeper. I gotta call my lawyer. Forget my lawyer.
David, why did I send my mother to Atlanta? He's a good version. Again, I think just because they casted the right actor of this annoying character kind of working.
Yeah.
Just because the actor's so good at doing the schlock.
I love Harvey Fierstein. I would give that man a hug.
And I think this movie has at least 2 scenes. Well, definitely the first fighter attack where they discover their shields and everybody gets blown up.
Oh, yeah.
Is very Star Wars because they cut back to the war room and they have like a little screen that
It's a trap!
every time a fighter goes down, their icon goes red.
Yeah.
And they just keep cutting back to the war room and literally in the fight they're saying stuff like pull up, pull up, pull up.
This is gold leader.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes me wonder why we never got Will Smith in a Star Wars movie.
Oh, I wonder why. Maybe because he's black. Although they did have Samuel.
They did have Samuel L. Jackson, but they
one-
had to hoover all of his, just like everyone.
And they
in the
gave him
movie.
a fucking grape Kool-Aid lightsaber. Like,
Should we move on to It's an Art?
let's do it.
Where we talk about aspects of the filmmaking process, sets, effects, lighting, music. This was an effects extravaganza.
What's this?
It's an art project.
Okay, I like it. Picasso. Yeah, that
I
was.
actually really think the design of like the spaceships is pretty cool. Just how massive they are and stuff. And I think that's the thing I remember the most about this. Was just like how fucking big the spaceships were.
Yeah, I think even though it makes 0 sense when you think logically, the whole setup before any of the attacks is all pretty cool. The way the big ships roll in, they're always surrounded by these clouds. It kind of looks like the end of Close Encounters.
Yeah.
Except bigger.
Right.
Make it bigger. I mean, its famous scene is the White House getting lasered and exploded.
Or the Empire State Building, that whole sequence.
Yeah, the whole sequence where all the major landmarks get blown up is kind of like...
I just love how they, like, the aliens just know to go over all these landmarks.
Yeah. Well, it's funny when they're these specific landmarks. I think you can go far enough to say the aliens can figure out where like the major urban centers are.
I think that's why I like movies like Arrival so much, because the aliens didn't land on the White House lawn. They like were in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
You know,
they just appeared in some field somewhere,
which would probably be closer to reality, but you never know.
Yeah, the designs of the aliens themselves are pretty H.R. Giger inspired. They're very tentacly.
I kind of hate like the animalistic aliens, because you're like supposed to believe that these are like hyper intelligent intergalactic species that was able to travel light years to get here, and they have giant ships and crazy technology. Why are they like growling and roaring and running after me? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That just bothers me, because they do that in every single Alien movie. Like, why are we making these things like? I don't think that's scary. You know, I don't know.
Do we get a lot of that? Because we don't get a lot of on-foot aliens.
No, you don't. But they're like, you know what I mean?
I mean,
like
they do have there is the one scene where the scientist gets taken over in Area 51, and he kind of psychically communicates through Data's voice. That's the actor that plays Data in Star Trek.
I just think the cool thing about aliens, I don't know why we don't utilize this enough, is like that they're smarter than us, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I guess that's mostly shown through their technology. They don't actually seem... When you break it down, their whole invasion strategy doesn't make a lot of sense.
No.
It only makes sense in the sense of having a screenplay.
It's like, why do you even need like grunts, like grunt soldiers for like the dogfighting and stuff? You have lasers, just shoot all the planes out of the sky. Why waste the manpower, you know?
Why did they blow up everything and then they kind of seem to be doing nothing for a few days after they blew up the first cities?
What was the plan for the aliens?
You would think that if they were just trying to eliminate everyone, they would be like moved on to the next urban center, you know, in the next couple hours and redo it.
Was their whole plan, I just don't remember this plot point, was there like a plan the aliens had where it's like kind of like a War of the Worlds where they wanted to like, terraform the Earth or whatever? That was the thing, and I'm just getting these movies.
I think we speculate that they need for their resources, but the part I remember is when the aliens communicating with the president through the window, he says, "What do you want from us?" And he says, "Die." So it's not clear. I think they're here for resources, but first they got to clear everyone out.
Okay.
Is the idea.
So you're saying this movie is...
They do intimate in Area 51 that they breathe oxygen and have similar tolerance to heat and cold is what they say. So I guess they may just want the planet and need us out of there.
In that scene, I do appreciate the practical stuff in that scene.
Yeah, there's big costumes and big puppets for all the aliens. They are not CGI, at least the ones walking around. No. I think even a lot of the ships are miniatures.
Yeah.
That are like kind of accented and added to with some CG. I like the alien design well enough. It's not super standout or super memorable, but there's certainly more memorable ones, but I don't have a problem with any of it. I think it's good. I like how big everything is, especially as far as like the motherships. They look really cool.
Definite scale. And then in Independence Day 2, they have like a planet-sized UFO or something. Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
It's a Death Star 2 situation for sure, where they're like, what are we going to do to make it bigger?
Make a bigger spaceship. Let's move on to, hey, what are you trying to say?
Take it away whenever you're ready.
All right, let me just get that last measurement on your
Thank you. You know, I need this for the wedding.
Okay, well,
I need it really quickly. Like
it could take about a week to do.
It could take a week?
Mm-hmm.
So, what are you trying to say? He's trying to say that I'm so big, my bum is so big, you need to order to various countries far away to get enough material to make a pair of pants so I can fit my incredibly obese buttocks into a pair of your specially made little suits.
No, I mean I'm the only one working here this week.
Oh, okay. Well, that would be great.
This is where we talk about themes and ideas, and I think for this one, not a lot going on once again. This doesn't even have the like subtle attempts at satire. It's very earnest in the way it treats like America and our fight against them and
I
the president.
Think that's something to kind of say. It's definitely like American propaganda.
Yeah. It's definitely America-centered and like everything that we see, it'll cut around the world, but our main characters are here in America.
Well, isn't it like we set the standard where it's like America was the first one to take down one of those ships.
Yeah.
And then soon after that, everybody else followed kind of thing. Like other countries. I think they mentioned that.
And we like cut to like Tunisia, and there's like this half Arab, like half English coalition in there. And they call them up and they're like, finally, the Americans have an idea. Like they'd all been sitting around and waiting for the Americans to fix the problem.
Yeah. It's such horseshit.
It is. And I mean, it's a movie called Independence Day, and it's about aliens arriving on July 4th weekend. Like, it's all very Star Spangled Blue.
Which is like, in that in itself has a charm to it. You know what I mean? Like some of the goofier American propaganda stuff, like I'm kind of fine with, but I don't know. This movie in particular, I have no real issue about it. Like, it's not as like cynical or like kind of shitty. So
yeah, and it helps that the president is like smart. Like, they're not actually doing shady shit that we are treating as if it's normal.
Yeah,
which is like some other like America First type films would do.
For sure.
Yeah, like you said, Bill Pullman, that could be my president.
Yeah.
I don't know what he does. I don't know what he thinks.
Anytime Morgan Freeman is president, I'm
You
like,
can be my president.
Come here, dude. Let me vote for you.
Although he's too old now.
I know. Well, no,
it's not true, but it is true.
Yeah.
Like, it's really not true because anyone can be. But
do you have to be 35 to?
Yeah. Something like that.
Anyways, I just appreciate more of like, and we'll get into this more, but kind of like the cultural influence that this movie had is a big one. Where we're talking about themes, but I'm just saying like a lot of the themes in this movie, or at least like the structure of it, has been repeated over and over again. I almost say about this movie that it is like one of the first movies to ever kind of have the Marvel formula, if you get what I mean by that. Where it's got the structure of like, okay, so it's this giant event. And then you have a stacked cast, and it's filled with jokes, action. There's like romance plots. It's got the whole nine. It's got everything, and it really reminds me of like what Marvel became later on.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a return of a mega blockbuster of a sort, which,
right?
Like Armageddon, which I think follows this, and a lot of like the Michael Bay stuff and future Roland Emmerich all kind of operates off this template.
Yeah. Where it's like it's supposed to be a spectacle, every time you see it.
I mean, like the Transformers movies have a lot to share with this.
Yeah, maybe that's a better comparison.
Yeah, where it's all these characters, it's globetrotting a little bit. It's got like 4 of the most annoying characters you've ever met interspersed in between. Yeah. And I think, like you said, culturally, it does have a big impact. I think worldwide, like, maybe not worldwide, but as far as, like, your average person has a positive feeling about Independence Day. They like Independence Day.
Yeah.
When you get into, like, the cinephile community, I think it's a split a little more where it's, like, people that like Independence Day and people that think it's shit.
Yeah.
And, think it has no story and it, like, doesn't have enough redeeming qualities and don't understand why people like it. But I think generally, people like Independence Day.
I think the movie is shit, but I don't think it's unwatchable. Like, it's definitely got its charms, and it's definitely one of those movies where it's like, this is of a time and it's kind of a nostalgia thing, So.
Yeah, I agree. Should we let the hate flow through you?
Yes.
Where we air out our annoyances and our complaints.
Good. Use your aggressive feelings, boy. Let the hate flow through you.
I mean, there's many plot holes you can poke into this plot if you think about it for 2.5 seconds.
Yeah.
I think the one that stood out the most to me this viewing was how everyone just forgets about Area 51 until the middle of the movie after all those cities have been blown up in the first attack. And Judd Hirsch is in the Oval Office babbling on about that one place where the flying saucer from 1953. And then one man, bald man in the corner solemnly says, well, actually, sir, it was real. But it was classified, super top secret. It's like, don't you think you could have broke the seal on that?
Yeah, seriously.
When there were aliens entering the atmosphere and shooting down planes and blowing up cities, like the seal for that should have been broken on first contact. Why are we?
No, it's classified information.
Also, we can have this little, adventure to Area 51 in the middle of the movie and meet our kooky main researcher character and. That's one thing. Makes no fucking sense at all.
I mean, honestly, if we're talking about like all these different subplots, there are just so many and so unnecessary. You don't need all this. Same problem with Mars Attacks. Like, we don't need to follow like a civilian, family. We don't need that. You already have that with Will Smith's wife and her son. You don't need this whole other group that's like a wacky fighter pilot or whatever. I get what they were trying to do because it was like, oh, this guy has encountered aliens before or whatever. But you don't need all that. It's just too much. Too fucking much.
Yeah.
And it doesn't help that character's not like a good character to begin with, So, I don't know.
Yeah, you can I feel like you could pare this movie down to mostly being Will Smith and Jeff Goldblum and the president.
That's all you need. Three key characters.
And
core
that's
characters.
really all you need, and everything kind of rotates around them. A lot of these
Yeah.
subplots are not adding a lot.
Right.
The president can sacrifice himself at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
We don't need Randy Quaid.
Right.
So yes, that is a major issue. A smaller issue is Jeff Goldblum has this terrible analogy about chess, which I definitely clocked as it was happening because he was like, well, don't you see? It's just like chess. All the pieces are arranged on the board, and then music swells, the camera zooms in, checkmate. And but that's not how chess works.
We're gonna count down to what, David?
It's like in chess. First, you strategically position your pieces. Then when the timing's right, you strike. See? They're positioning themselves all over the world, using this one signal to synchronize their efforts. In approximately 6 hours, the signal's going to disappear and the countdown's going to be over.
And then what?
Checkmate.
Where you arrange your pieces into their proper areas and then everybody attacks at once. That's not how chess works at all. If you've ever played chess, looked at people playing chess, if you know anything about anything, you know that's nothing like chess. This whole analogy started backwards. That Roland Emmerich wanted to end a scene with somebody saying checkmate. So we had to go backwards to that and had to start with had a scene in the beginning of the movie where Judd Hirsch and Jeff Goldblum play chess together.
Well, the reason
to establish that he knows chess, even though it doesn't know any fucking rules.
The reason why they had me say that in Independence Day is because in Jurassic Park, I said talked about the chaos theory, and it sounded smart because life finds a way. So they wanted me to sound smart in this movie. So checkmate.
That Roland Emmerich is quite intelligent. I really enjoyed working with Judd. Oh, William. He was a peach. He's a really funny guy. I don't even think that's a good Goldblum anymore. I don't know what I'm doing.
He would say he was a peach. He would definitely say that.
Just what a guy.
He was a peach.
He was a joy to work with.
But he wasn't a woman, so that was disappointing.
Yeah,
we didn't really talk about Will Smith, did we?
We talked about Will
a little
Smith.
bit.
We talked about Will Smith being the best part of the movie.
Yeah. So, yeah, Will Smith, he's gone through a lot of controversial kind of shit. He's been cucked out live for the world to see. He slapped a man due to his cuckiness. But there was a time where Will Smith was the biggest thing on earth. And I do want to appreciate that a little bit. Because, number one, he is a black actor, if you didn't notice.
Ding.
But, yeah, he was just kind of like... I don't know. He was at the forefront of like a time where you didn't see a lot of black leads, and he was getting all the roles. So shouts out to Willie Smith.
And if we decide to go a different route with Alien April, Men in Black is right there.
Oh,
you know.
So we should probably just ditch the alien invasion thing and just do aliens in general.
Well, we've been doing it is aliens in general. I guess aliens invade.
Alien invasion.
That's not what we called it. I suppose aliens do invade in all these films. Not so much in Starship Troopers, but they do blow up a city allegedly.
Yeah. I do not think I could take watching Men in Black.
No, that's fine. And I want to say Wild Wild West also somehow involves aliens. I could be wrong.
I think you're thinking about cowboys versus aliens.
Yeah, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
What were we talking about?
We're letting the hate flow through.
Honestly, I don't have much. I mean, hating on this movie is kind of like, it's like hating on Twilight. You know, and that's why we didn't really say much to hate on Twilight, because it just like it's a little too on the nose, man. Like hating on, there's too much to hate this movie, and I just don't really care that much to hate on it because it's fine.
Yeah, it's big and dumb, and at worst it's a little annoying, but mostly it's fine.
Like, yes, we know this movie is stupid, but let people enjoy it. If you like Independence Day, who gives a fuck?
Yeah, and like nitpicking, you can nitpick all the aliens' motivations and how things work, but whatever. It's to set up this finale where we get to have our Star Wars action.
And I also don't think this movie was trying to be anything other than dumb.
Yeah.
And big and loud and stupid. Like, if this movie was trying to be more pretentious about shit, then yeah, I would probably hate it a little bit more, you know, and actually find reasons to hate it if they were trying to preach something to me or trying to make me seem like I'm not smart enough to understand this. I don't know. But this movie is not doing that at all.
Where a drunk farmer yells yeehaw and crashes an airplane into the aliens.
And then gets yelled at by his native children.
Well, no, this is when he dies.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about the beginning where he was like crop dusting.
Crop dusting the run field?
Yeah.
Because he was drunk.
I love, like, they're just writing down these characters like, drunk former fighter pilot who has Native American children.
I wanted Randy Quaid and the president to, like, know each other. Like, they were in the war together.
That would have been fun.
And they went to, you know, the diverging paths.
Like, he's Randy Quaid walks in he's like, Jim?
Yeah.
He's like, Dusty?
Like, Randy Quaid doesn't know who the president is because he's been blackout drunk for that long.
And that would make sense for his character, and that would actually be kind of funny.
There you go. We just improved Independence Day. Roland.
And then Roland went to make Godzilla in 1999.
1998. And
98, whatever.
Yeah, people loved it.
I also love that movie. Because I watched that movie like every fucking day when I was little.
But it's a big dinosaur.
It is. It's not Godzilla at all.
It's not Godzilla at all.
But that movie is the most New York feeling movie ever. Like, you get a whole set piece in Madison Square Garden. You got Ferris Bueller running around. I have a lot of enjoyment from that movie. Anyways,
for another time, let's ask our final question. Is this a perfect movie?
You lost a baby brother. Perfect in every way.
I had a baby brother. I had a little baby brother. And he was perfect. Perfect in every way.
No. I think this falls into the category you had to be there, honestly. It's a movie of the times, and that time is long gone.
Yeah. It holds a special place in my heart as this early Alien film, probably the first alien invasion movie I ever watched. And I think that probably has a lot to do with my enjoyment of it today. But me.
It's got a great 90s feel to it.
Yeah. I think it's aged well. I think a lot of the effects, the way they chose to do it, has aged well.
Yeah.
And it's really saved by Will Smith and Jeff Goldblum.
For sure. There's just some movies like this, like whether it's Twister, this movie, that just because of the time period it was made in, it has a charm to it that, you know, is longer around today. That's for sure. Unless you're watching like Top Gun Maverick or something. But there's a vibe, and I appreciate that. And this is a movie that I will go back to. So if you haven't seen Independence Day, you should definitely watch it. Check it out at least once.
This is definitely a movie I don't think a lot of people will be listening and have not watched.
Yeah.
This is a movie everyone's seen.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a movie that's somebody's put on, even if you didn't actively watch it, around you, or it was on TV. Or something.
This is definitely a movie that was played on TV quite a bit, probably.
A lot. Not on the list, though. All right, so we've covered Mars Attacks and Independence Day, our 1996 alien duo. Next up, we're going to 2 more alien films that I think are pretty different from each other. We're going to do Starship Troopers. Then we're going to wrap up with Annihilation.
You know what would be a
starring
good
Natalie
one?
Portman, star of Mars
Yes.
Attacks.
Yes. You know what would be a good one to pair with Starship Troopers would be that movie with Tom Cruise. It's like
Edge of Tomorrow?
Live, Die, Repeat, or whatever. Yeah, that would be a good one to pair with Starship Troopers. Just because it's got like the hordes of creatures that,
Yeah.
you know, and you're just this soldier that's shipped into battle and you're expendable. Yeah, that would be a good one to pair. But yeah, anyways.
Welcome to Earth.
Welcome to Earth. And I think one of those aliens gave me a fucking cold. Or maybe I'm the alien because I'm susceptible.
David, get
to
off the floor. I don't want you to give you a cold. David, come on. David.
My father.
I love when the guy who wouldn't tell anyone about Area 51 until it was way too late joined Judd Hirsch in the prayer circle, and he says, well, I'm not Jewish. And he says, well, nobody's perfect.
Yeah. Because that would allude to Jewish people he thinks Jewish people are perfect.
Yeah, because he himself is one.
That's funny.
Funny because it's what a grandma would say.
Yeah, it is what a grandma would say. He is like a grandma. He's more of a grandma than a father. He should have been his grandfather. Now, well, maybe he looks a little too young to be a grandfather. But
When you said he's more of a grandfather than a father,
more of a grandmother than a father.
I heard he's more machine than man now.
I'm more machine than man now.
I got my hip replaced.
Did you know my son turned into a fly? What is that all about?
David, don't go in that spaceship. What will your mother think? She's rolling in a grave right now. David.
And then last week he was on this island with dinosaurs. My son.
Then he was in space with the Hulk and Thor.
And Thor.
He's the god of
And
thunder.
he was acting all crazy.
He wore guy liner.
That's not very Jewish.
I don't think that's kosher. David. What would your mother think?
What would your mother think? You know she's got the psoriasis.
You know, speaking of, you brought up the Coen brothers last episode.
I did.
You could bring in the Coen brothers to punch up all the Jewish dialogue because they are really good at that.
They're really good at that.
We have not covered A Serious Man, but while we're talking about Jews, which this whole section might get flagged just just out of context,
and we might get deported. Just saying. Just saying. Actually, you know what? For our own safety, we should probably stop talking about
A Serious Man, just the most Jewish movie I've ever seen, and it's really good.
They're snatching people off the streets, Michael.
Yeah, but I'm not saying pro-Palestine things yet.
You just said it. Don't say it. My father was pro-Palestine.
All right, guys. Enough of this before we get deported. Let's cover some alien movies next time. See ya. Bye.
Bye.
Adios. Au revoir.
Or like the aliens would say. How did they speak in the Mars Attacks movie?
They went
Perfect.
Everybody hold someone's hand. Hold hands. Come on in.
Shema Kolenu Hashem Eloheinu.
I'm not Jewish. Nobody's perfect.
Chuz v'rachim